Hello, welcome to Michelle's Mind Maze. I'm Michelle. First of all, this is a little unorganized and a little maybe unprofessional and a little bit all over the place, but I have been wanting to do this and I just decided it's just time to jump on and dive right into it. So, this is for addressing mental health and everyday struggles. Full disclaimer, I am not a healthcare professional. I am not a psychiatrist, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist. I am just a regular person who has been dealing with this my entire life, and it is probably mostly environment, but also something I probably inherited. And full disclosure, I am bipolar 2. I have generalized anxiety disorder, of course, depression and ADHD. And I have had it for probably all of it, most of my life, but it wasn't into my 30s when I was actually diagnosed. I'm 40, almost 45, by the way. And the worst thing I could have done for myself is when I was diagnosed and when I was getting help, I didn't embrace it or acknowledge it. And it got me in some trouble along the way. And when I say trouble, all kinds of different situations. And we will get into that. I have been in the hospital. So I wanted to create a safe space for people to come to with their struggles. So this is not addressed in this country very well at all. And so it makes people around us uncomfortable. We sometimes don't understand what is going on in our head and why we're feeling a certain way. And obviously, we have, seasonal depression. We have our struggles. We've been dealing with maybe a loss, a breakup, um, finances, the normal everyday stuff. And sometimes we just feel a little under the weather. Of course, that we're human, right? But it can be when it's deeper and it's frequently intermittently, or just frequent and constant, and you aren't feeling right, that's where I want to jump in. And I also would like to suggest that if you decide to talk to your best friend or your favorite family member and they aren't comfortable with it, that's okay. You don't want to have any resentment for them or, take it too personal, because if they're not comfortable, they're not comfortable. It's a very sensitive topic. And typically you'll be able to tell by their lack of response or their body language, or they will just say, hopefully, they're not comfortable, or the typical response is, I don't know what to say. And so just move on and talk to somebody else. I always suggest to talk to a counselor, but that's not, you have to be at that point, and that takes a while to get there. And I get that, but I would like to jump into that as well. I call this my mind maze because, as you know, a maze is a network of paths and hedges, like a puzzle, and you're trying to complete it or get to the end of it. And so, just like your mind, sometimes, you wake up and you get through the whole thing and you went right through it and didn't really have much trouble and it just felt great. And other days you go through it and you either end up going back right where you started from, or you get lost and you bump into all kinds of things and, you're just not sure how you're going to get through the rest of the day. It's totally normal, but sometimes for some of it's worse than others. And so the topics I want to touch on, well, I have all kinds of them, but I think that the biggest ones are, relationships, grief, and the grief that we have within ourselves when we're feeling like something isn't right mentally. There's finances, there's your home life, there's work, there's, family. I think I already said that, but you get where I'm going with that. But a lot of times it runs deeper, and it's those things that happen, but then the extension of those things. And that's where it gets a little muddy sometimes. And it can be very scary. The mind is a very scary place. And I want to create a safe place that people can, you can engage with me. And I want you to feel like I'm giving you some information and some tips and some tools that can be useful. I am not just going to be talking about my life. Well, it'll always be based on my life experience, but from my own doctors and my own counselors, things I've learned, also my favorite podcasters, books I've read, excerpts, quotes, things to back up those facts. And some days it's just going to be me talking, and, we're also going to have some fun. And so I just, again, safe place. And, as we all do when we find YouTube videos we're watching, we like to read the comments, and they help, but sometimes they're very negative, and I can take it. I just refuse to engage. But I just suggest to you, if you're trying to figure this out and you may have found a place that you're thinking this might be a place that you need to start thinking about how you're feeling and what's going on with you mentally. And if you feel like maybe you're in a bit of a danger zone mentally, definitely don't read those comments, because if you're already questioning your self-worth or you're questioning yourself in general, that's not going to help. People are entitled to their own opinion. That's fine. And some people are just negative, and that's they're allowed to be that way. Again, I mean, no judgment. I don't know what's going on in their life, right? So the other thing that I want to say, and before we wrap this up, is I would like to suggest that you don't Google too much. Of course, Google is a great tool, but try not to go down a rabbit hole. I have Googled the most ridiculous things, and even recently. And so that's why I'm saying this is an everyday struggle. And things I've Googled, it's so ridiculous because I get in my own head. And I think when I'm talking to you and you're listening to me, I'm talking it out. And then I might be talking it out with somebody that just had the same thing happen to them. Or then I'm feeling a little bit better now. And I'm hoping that I'm passing some of this along to you. And I hope that maybe you can take some of it. Maybe you'll never come back again, think this girl just talks too much to know what she's talking about, or you're just not really that interested. But maybe it will be something that you keep in the back of your mind. And when you feel like you are getting to a place that is just not right and you can't find your way, you can't crawl out of it, maybe you'll remember that you stopped by. You won't remember me, but you'll remember that you saw some YouTube person or girl or, whatever, that said something about whatever, and then maybe you'll decide to take a step, and kind of advocate for yourself. And that's what I want you to do, is advocate for yourself. So this was a little longer than I had intended, but thank you for stopping by. And every week we're going to have a different topic, and we'll just dive right into it, and we'll go on this journey together. So I will see you next week. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. And I look forward to spending some time with you. Bye.